Hey, hey. We
Hey,
we are back.
that we are.
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you, Nicole?
I am well. I am well. So today we are going to be talking about Eve's Bayou, 1997. Shoot, where was
Yes,
where was I in 1997? Ooh,
college. If you did you, I was in
mm,
college. I was a junior.
I was deciding what to do with my life in 1997. I was taking that year, I think. No, 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 no. Life was decided. I had a child on my hip. That's what was happening in 1997. Life was decided. Yeah, I was a little busy. So, yeah, 1997, that's what was going on when Eve's Bayou came out. Mm-hmm.
And I was attending the Norfolk State University in the
Mm-hmm.
city of Norfolk. I was a I was a junior in '97. I don't even know why I said it out loud because I just dated the heck out of myself.
Yes, you
It's
did. Yes, you did. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Told
we,
all your
we're going to edit all of that out. Just if you
no,
see a
I'm not.
jump cut, people, if you all see a jump cut, it's because we skip clean over that because people are not supposed to know my age unless they already know me. I'm 25
Yeah, okay.
eternally.
In here, you're 25. We'll go with that. So, yeah, that's how long this movie's been around. And okay, so talk about the cast. Brother and sister in the cast.
Yes.
Jurnee and Jake. They've been in the
And,
business that long.
and you know what? I love their chemistry in this movie as brother and sister. It really
Hmm.
came through, not in a way of, oh, you can tell they're kind of like acting and being extra with it. It was natural for them, but at the same time, they were about as in character, for a period piece as they could be. It was amazing to see them
Hmm.
play off of one another.
Yeah, yeah. And I think around that time, was it around that time or just before this movie? They had a sitcom. Their family
Yeah,
had a sitcom.
yeah, they did.
That was the era where everyone was trying to be the next Jackson 5. Every
Yeah,
black family that had at least 5 children, and I think the Smolletts have at least 7,
yes,
if not more. Um, they sing, they dance, they act, they cook, they do everything. Um, they had a sitcom, I think, that ran for like 1 season,
yeah.
and
And I don't think it got traction. You know.
mm-mm. It was cute,
Yeah, it
but
was.
I don't think enough people were into it, and it's because everyone was trying to do a Jackson-esque thing instead of just letting them be them. So,
Yeah.
but in this movie, they did they did wonderful. I'll tell you the one thing that I noticed, and I don't think um, he gets credit for it when he does it. Um, Samuel Jackson, when he puts on an accent,
Yes,
because he has
girl,
such a distinct voice anyway.
he does.
But when he puts on an accent, he had I don't know if he was supposed to be Gullah Geechee.
I think that he had a hint of that, but he allowed his educational training to come through because he was a doctor.
Right.
So he allowed that higher echelon type of air to come through. But when I tell you that Southern charm, ma'am,
But
well,
every
when
now
we get
and then,
deeper into the movie, I can see exactly why.
Oh yes.
Yes,
That,
ma'am.
that accent. Every now and then I'd pick it up and I'd be like, did he just
He
did that
did.
just pop out?
And honey, and I don't know if you can have swag in the 50s, but he had swag. He had swagoo for real. He really did.
He was letting that accent pop in and out, and I'm like, how did I not catch this before? And there's a lot of the movie that I've
That's
seen.
because you're a grown woman now.
Well,
and in 97, you didn't catch it before.
Look, in 97, I was busy trying to keep a child from tearing down my house.
Yeah,
And,
that would be it.
You know, she was just learning how to walk and stuff. 97, I didn't commit this to memory. I was busy. So I only saw this in drips and drabs. But watching the movie and paying attention to it this go around, I'm like, okay, all right. All right. Excuse me. And the only other time I've heard him do that, or I've paid attention to what he does with his pattern of speech, was in the Golden Circle movies, where he talked with a lisp. And that had me on the floor because I'm like Samuel Jackson with a lisp.
Yeah, as articulate as he is. He had to work hard for that.
Yes.
Had to work really hard for that.
And, you know, being a villain with a lisp. Okay. Yeah. So, no. So this movie, I sat back and I watched it, and there's so much here. We could really do this in 2 parts if we want to, but we're not. There's a lot. There's a lot here. So
let's go ahead and start unpacking it.
Where would you like to begin?
I want to save the aunt for later. I love her. Yes. I mean, she's a tragic figure, but I just love her. I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, there just her and her relationship with her niece.
Yes.
Let's start there with the kids.
Yeah,
this was a privileged family.
And yes, affluent.
They conducted themselves as such.
But who controlled that? And we can get into what, you know, when it comes to the Black family, who controls that look, that air, that essence of how we're supposed to conduct ourselves in society? Who does that? The mother.
Well, mother had that, but father allowed certain things as well. And so, one of the things that we saw, and this is where the unpacking begins, is with Cicely. She was emulating her mother.
Yeah.
On one hand, she's emulating her mother, but she felt very free to call her mother out.
Yes.
And also attempt to replace her mother as her father's caretaker and be the woman of the house, if you will.
Yes, the lady of the manor.
And her father, because he was so busy being the man about town, he was welcoming the attention and not saying, child, know your place.
And, you know, a part of it, you know, you can look at it 2 ways. A part of it is, I think every father who's connected to their daughters loves that level of attention. It's something about that, you know, how it seems like daughters get along better with fathers and sons get along better with mothers. It's so weird how you would think it'd be the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
But they had some type of kinship there and an understanding because he was all about the whole society thing. He loved the trappings of it. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, he was just as wild as he could be. And he saw that in her. So in his own way, he kind of like encouraged it. I mean, he rarely checked her. I mean, she had free reign, and the mom couldn't stand it. And that's where the tension came from, is how you going to allow her, a child, to have that much freedom and that much authority when I'm here, I'm
Right.
the mother, I'm the lady of the house. I'm supposed to have that level of control. She's supposed to be subject to me, and we're not on the same
Love.
level, on the same playing field, but he allowed it. And I think that because he was so close with her, it's kind of strange how in a way they had to me, they had their own like friendship, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So, a part of the movie, we'll talk about how it kind of drifted over into something else. It got kind of confused. But that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
We can kind of unpack that, but
But even her own way even called it out.
she did. She was, you talking about
You
woke.
didn't
People
miss
want to say
nothing.
they're woke. This generation want to say they're woke. Eve was the most, other than the aunt, was the most woke person in this entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
She really was. To be the middle child, she was woke.
Which brings about the whole thing of having sight. There's
Mm-hmm.
more than one way to have sight, and she had it on all levels.
She did.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much we can get into about that because she had a gifting. And people don't want to touch that because there's some religious hangups as to, can people really see, can people really hear, and connect with the spirit world or with the future. And it gets a little dicey,
Mm-hmm.
is it witchcraft? Is it not? Is it of God? It gets a little dicey. But
And
I grew up being raised in a household where we were open.
mm-hmm.
My grandma was very
even
open about it.
and even down to that with Moselle and then Diahann Carroll's character,
Mm.
Azor, just
Called her a
even
witch.
mm-hmm, just even how they regarded each other. It's like we're so different.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fine distinction between us, but they both had sight,
Yeah,
and neither one of them was wrong about what they saw.
what they saw. Yeah, they weren't wrong.
Yeah. So one of the things, just to kind of backtrack a little bit, and you and I talked about this off camera earlier this week.
Yeah.
Um, the idea of coming of age movies, because that's really what this was. It wasn't, I don't recall it being sold that way, if you will.
Mm-mm.
Um, and there was, if you get a chance to see it, if you get a chance to watch it, it's on Peacock. Um, Kevin Hart has a show out now, Heart to Heart, where he's interviewing other celebrities. He did an interview with Taraji P. Henson.
Yeah.
She's directing a movie that she says is a, a coming of age movie. And she talks about how we, because she's in our age group, we didn't have that coming up. Coming of age movies of our time was looked like, as she puts it, looked like Molly Ringwald.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there wasn't much else out there that reflected us. There wasn't much that
Yeah.
represented us. However, when we really go back and look, we had Eve's Bayou. It just wasn't sold to us as a coming of age story.
And we had Inkwell. We had a few. We had Crooklyn. We had a
Mm-hmm.
few, but I think what people are looking for is they're looking for the same model of the Molly Ringwald, where it is a
Right.
specific character and it's specific instances of people transitioning through childhood to being a teenager to
And
adulthood.
it's
Now
not
it didn't
wrapped
follow,
in trauma.
yeah. See,
That
that's the whole thing.
Mhm.
But just like you and I've kind of discussed when it comes to other movies and things like that, and other television shows, how many people came through their childhood without it?
there's
So
that part, but to flip that around, not every Black person's life comes through trauma either.
yeah, or the
We
inner
have,
city.
yeah, we have quote unquote normal experiences. We go to school, we go through puberty, we are terrorized by having pimples and periods, and oh my gosh, boys have wet dreams and don't know what to do with them. Those are traumatizing experiences that we go, oh my goodness, what's happening to our bodies? That, you know, the other ilk gets to experience and have multi-million dollar films about, and that's
Yeah,
normal. But somehow that's not our normal experience. Like you said, we get the crackhead mamas, drugs in our streets,
yeah.
and that's how our lives are always depicted as the navigation. That's how we always have to navigate our life.
Teenage pregnancy. Somebody died. We're being raised by somebody else.
Exactly.
Parenting. It's some type of struggle, something we have to overcome. I'm like, I remember asking my godmother once, I was like, when are we gonna ever overcome? It's like, we still overcoming
Right.
something.
We talked
Yeah.
about Baby Boy. That was a coming of age story,
Hmm.
you know.
And all these
From
came out around the same time. It's just it's all through what lens or filter you're looking at it, and how you want to compartmentalize it.
yeah, yeah,
So that type of thing.
yeah.
So she's doing coming of age. East Bayou is coming of age,
Mhm.
but it was a coming of age of two different girls
Mhm.
and how they kind of navigated through their own circumstance. So that's kind of talk. We kind of talk about Cicely's, in a way. Unless you want to tie that up really quickly, and then we can move on to how Eve transitioned, and her story kind of came out.
Well, I mean, their stories are tied together. It's tied in with class, with
Yeah.
and this happened in the 50s, and so
Yes.
they're in an isolated Black community where it's important for them to present a certain way because the backdrop that we don't see is what happens when they go out into white society.
Yeah.
All of this is happening in
Their part of town.
segregated Black community in Louisiana,
Hmm.
you know. So we don't see what happens elsewhere in their world. Um so they get to be, as I said, the privileged people who are held up. He's a doctor.
Yep. And
And
treated
so,
well.
right. And so
Yep.
everybody is like, "Oh, he's the bee's knees. Yeah, we know he's out here and he's sleeping with everybody else's wife and sister and mother and possibly grandmama, but we're going to let that slide because he's a doctor, you
We
know."
also want to let that slide because I hate to say it, society wise, that's what men did. That's what men do. And
That part also.
and as
And
long as he presented it a certain way, his
mhm,
children were well mannered and taken care of, his wife was taken care of, you know, and they present themselves a certain way in society, we're gonna
right.
forego it.
And the thing is, the way the film presented it, the opening scene, his wife was oblivious. She had no idea. Pretty sure she had an idea, but you keep peace in your household.
Wasn't there a scene with her and the grandmother that kind of lended itself to that, like what she knew or didn't know?
The grandmother was sitting down talking with somebody else in the opening scene at the party. And she said something in Creole, was watching him dance with Maddie, and made a comment about, oh, look at the way he's carrying on with Miss Maddie. And the grandmare was like, well, it's not like he doesn't do this with everybody, something to that effect. And there were a couple of other people who were kind of cutting the side eye, like, yeah, I heard he gets around, kind of thing. So everybody in the room,
everybody knew,
took note, except for his wife and Maddie's husband.
Well, a part of it, I think, as a woman, you know, I have a hard time believing that you don't know. I think it's more about what you're willing to accept,
right,
and what you're willing to what's the word for it? Confront. And at the end of the day, she had a life. You know, she was highly regarded. She was beautiful. She was classy. She had the best of everything. She was well taken care of. So
I'm not going to mess that up by following.
I'm not. And you know, and I hate to say it, he came home every night.
Right.
So,
right.
But that was a level of acceptance. As long as he comes home every night, as long as we're well taken care of, as long as what he does doesn't really put us to shame or embarrass us, then I can let it slide. But the sad part is that eventually it did. And I would like there to be a part 2 to see how she was able to put her life back together, because when it blew up, it blew up. It's not we can come back to that. But see, it shows you what happens when you don't check stuff. You have to teach people how to treat you. And I know that I'm saying this in retrospect for her because of how society was at the time and how much women, black, white, green, yellow, fat, or thin, took off of their husbands. Because I've seen people post on Facebook how many, no one thought about this, how many of our grandparents' marriages were happy. And I want to say Michael Bazin put it up one time, and I've seen some other people just in general just put up as a discussion. And a lot of people have chimed in from all different walks of life, and they were like, they weren't. It's like, you know, when you look back on it, it was more of a tolerance, acceptance. This is what we do. This is how we get through, like a job type of thing. So, yeah. So by her ignoring it,
right. And that's why I say she was aware. She had a certain level of awareness, but it was don't rock the boat.
Because you think about it, her girlfriends had to tell her, girl, you know, if she had girlfriends at all, girl, you know, he out here.
There's no way you were looking at everybody in that room was cutting their eye at the situation.
Like this. Child, you see him?
But, and you know how we do. We mumble loud.
Saying.
Well, no, we don't whisper like that. I would never let my man do. My man dance with, and I'm standing right here. I wouldn't be serving drinks in my house while my man's rubbing up against. Couldn't be me, but if you like it, I love it. You know how we do.
And then you have the other ones that are a little bit more discreet, where they just cut eyes at one another, like. Yeah, like it was something. It was something to behold, and have her all up in your wife's house.
Okay. And he was being real handsy. Real handsy.
Oh, but he's just friendly. He's just a flirt. He don't mean any harm.
Mm. Okay. 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 Moving right along.
Yeah. He mean harm, but harm happened to him, girl.
Mm.
When that karma came through, like a boom, a ring.
Ooh. And so let's skirt over to that a little bit, because Eve took on the responsibility and carried that burden for the rest of her life.
Yeah. She
You
did.
know? And
Because that's how the movie opened. I killed my daddy. I was like, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it spiraled the way it did, because I'm thinking, maybe because, there was a part of the movie where I thought that maybe he killed her because of what happened with Cicely. I thought, okay, this must be the part where she wanted to kill him. But no, that wasn't it.
No, but I can understand why she took that level of accountability. Because words have that much power.
They do. Even the Bible says that words have spirit and life, and every other good book out here speaks of how powerful our mouths are. And my mom was really big about saying that, she used to say this about a lot of things, but you just can't unring a bell. Once that sound enters the atmosphere, it's there and it resonates. And I can see how she owned it. But at the same time, and I can see why she owned it because of the spirituality behind it. You think about the aunt being into singing and, that whole mystical part of, conjuring and what you say and your words have action, and depending on the power of your gift, what your words can do. I can see how that rested on her. But people's actions are what they are. And no matter whether she said it or not, that was a path her daddy was on. He was already on that train. You didn't buy the ticket. You didn't help him put his luggage on the train, baby. He had been on that train for years. And it got to a point where he ran out of smoke. He ran out of steam. And this is where it stopped for him. So I wish that if this were true, I wish that someone could get to her to tell her, babe, this was going to happen whether you said it or not.
There's a point where I wish she could put it down and say that this is his bag to carry.
But I think she loves him. She loved him too much to let him carry that by himself. It's almost, once again, we want to take ownership for the bad behavior of the men in our lives.
Right.
We want to take on a part of that. It's just like, had I said something differently, had I not been so naggy, had I been more understanding. It's like, why do we take on that? And I'm not just saying it as Black, I'm saying it as a woman, period. Why do we take that on when people's behaviors are what they are?
I think for her, at 10 years old, it was the spiritual. I don't think the mindset,
spirituality of it.
Because when she sat down with what is her name again? Elzora. I want to call her Evora.
Yes.
When she sat down with Elzora and made that transaction, Elzora was treating her like the child, the pineapple thief.
Yeah.
Impulsive, just you know, being the little wild child that ran through the neighborhood and played tricks and pranks and all of that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she asked her, she was like, do you know what you're asking for? And she said something to her in Creole. I don't know what she said to her. I had my subtitles on because I intended on catching every last word that was said. They popped that up in Creole.
Yeah.
I was like, darn you to heck. Why did you do that? Why didn't you translate it into English? Because I need to know what was said. And I didn't have anyone around me who spoke Creole. So I was at a loss. But if I had to judge by her tone and by Elzora's lean back, I would say she said, look at here, heifer. I paid you $20. Give me what I asked for.
Basically.
Okay. That's just, you know, in the
Mm-hmm.
moment. But the look on her face was, don't mess with me, because if you don't do it, I might just kill you. And Elzora took her seriously at that moment.
She did.
And this was the second time an adult understood the power in that 10-year-old. This is the second time in that film an adult stood the power within that 10-year-old and said, all right, you got it. And this was the first time. Was it the first time? I'm trying to get the scenes in order here. No, this was the second time that she realized that an adult would take her seriously, took her
Mm-hmm.
power seriously. And
Yep.
so for her, it affirmed her belief that she could say something, hold it to be true, and it would be believed, that it would come to fruition. The other time that it happened was when her sister left, said,
Yeah.
when her aunt said, tell me what that's about. And when her aunt tried to see what was going on and put her hands out and said,
She
you don't want
snatched
to
them
tell
back.
me, I'll stand back. And she was like, fine, keep your secrets then. Her aunt didn't think that her little 10-year-old niece was as powerful as she was.
Mm-hmm. She didn't need to see that.
Nope.
No one needed to see that. It was one of those things that it was a moment that got out of control. And what I mean by that is her love and affinity for her father
Mm-hmm.
crossed over to something sensual and sexual, on because in her mind, I think she felt like her mom, the reason why he was that way was that her mom wasn't doing all she could to take care of him.
Mm-hmm.
And that nobody could take care of him better than me. So she took on that whole role, and it got twisted and muddied in a way. And but what I'm glad and proud about is the father didn't take advantage of that, because you think about how many young girls get their love and affinity for a father or an uncle or a brother
Yep.
mixed construed, and someone takes advantage of the fact that, oh, she is willing,
Yeah.
you know, she can take that person's place and be that person, even though it's not natural for her to be in that position, and nor is it right on any level for her to be, because she's a child, A, and
Right.
B, we are blood related, B. But that's
Right.
what boiled down to, is I think she looked at her mom as a failure when it came to her marriage and when it came to taking care of her dad. And she's like, well, if you can't do it, and it seemed, the crazy part was, he seemed to listen to her more than he listened to the wife.
Yeah.
That was a mind blowing part. If that girl had told him to jump off the Chattahoochee bridge into the river, he would have done it, because for whatever reason, she had that kind of power over him. It was
Mom
amazing
caught
to
on
watch.
to it way too late. By the time Mom said, I don't want you waiting up for your father anymore, it was too late. It was too late.
Because my thing is, why weren't you? You're perfectly see, that's the part that kind of blew my mind. It never dawned on her is, why am I comfortable with laying in my goose down bed, antique height poster bed upstairs,
That does sound comfortable.
and letting him traipse in the house all times of the night. Now he did come home every night, like I said, but you're not up in that armchair waiting. Where you think that would make a big difference as to him coming home like that? But the daughter got out of her bed. That's it was so much going on that the child got out of her bed
at
to
midnight.
see about the daddy.
Where have you been? You a doctor, not a coal miner. You ain't got no business coming in that late at night.
That girl won't stupid. She knows her father was out there not doing the best of things.
She was listening to the gossip closer than her mother was.
And she knew. In her mind, she's thinking, he needs to be home with somebody.
Right. Right.
Her mom should have crafted that better.
Mm-hmm.
She should have crafted that better. And she should have seen that her daughter was getting to the age where her affections were getting misconstrued. Mm-hmm. She was getting confused as to her place, as to how do I direct this love and energy to the right person. As a matter of fact, she's too young to really be directing it to a guy even her own age. That should be saved for later. And I don't mean the sexuality part, but that high level of care and concern of taking care of or helping to take care of a man. That's right. Grown folks doing in business. That's not left to children. But we also know that during that era of time, young girls were put to do that, to cook, to clean, to fetch, to make sure the man in the household,
the future husband.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you got married, you would know how to do these things because you've been doing it for years for your father, for your uncles, for your brothers.
Right.
So I can see how we set ourselves up in a way to put our girls in a position where they can be victimized and not know where their affections should lie and when should those things be awakened.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And it sent her away.
Well, she made that choice. She made the choice.
She did. Like, she was hurt because she didn't know where to go with it. She was hurt. She was embarrassed.
She felt rejected. Yeah.
She felt rejected. And I think that she didn't know where their relationship would go after that. Would they ever be the same?
Right.
Not understanding that he's her father and he will always love her. He just can't love her in that way.
And the fact that he was home a lot less, it was double rejection, because not only was he rejecting me, he's rejecting mommy also. So it's like, where are we now?
Yeah.
The point of being here.
I can't keep him home now.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just as bad. I'm as big a failure as mommy.
And the crazy part is, he looked forward to coming home and seeing her. That's the crazy part.
Mm-hmm.
But look how and I take it back to the mom. I take it back to the adult behaviors. Right. Look how the mom's inattention spiraled even that on.
Yeah.
She wasn't focused. And how he couldn't catch it because his head was so up in the clouds about all the other stuff he was doing. He just maintained and floating through the house, doing him. Did he even pick up on the fact that I need to kind of steer this and check it a little bit more.
Right.
So nobody was minding the store. The old saying, no one was minding the store that came to her.
And the only person that seemed to be okay was Poe. Poe was the only one that was okay. He was fed. He was playing.
But you gotta understand that's the role of the smallest child. The youngest child is normally the most naive, clueless one. You have conversations with them, and they're like, "I ain't even know how to have when it happened." Clueless. And another show that kind of played it the same way was Greenleaf. Greenleaf treated Faith the same way. Faith was the one that had no clue about anything that was going on. Just was.
Don't spoil that for me because I haven't finished watching it yet.
Girl,
to get back to it.
Girl, I'm still devastated by certain aspects of that. Still hurt.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
And we ain't talking about Greenleaf somewhere down the road because when I tell you,
I love that. I love the show.
I love it too.
Yeah, I got distracted around here. I just couldn't.
So we kind of talked about Cicely's situation with the dad and how her caring for the dad kind of transitioned into her thinking that she could replace her mother on every level, even when it came to potentially sexually. She thought, she could, or not even sexually. I could say on an intimate level, because kissing is intimate more so than sexual. So I said on an intimate level.
Yeah.
So then we talked about how woke Eve was because she had her gift and the coming of age because of what ended up happening with the father. So let's talk about the aunt and how all this culminated into this big blow up that happened that made everybody take notice and say, you know what? Yeah, that part.
Moselle. Moselle. So Moselle and her brother, Moselle says that she and her brother were pretty much alike. They were untamed. Like
wow,
cats.
Girl. Wow.
Like cats. Just didn't matter. They run around with anything from one to the next. She was a barren woman, as she described herself. Couldn't have no kids. She was cursed.
Did we ever find out the why behind that?
She never got into the why. She never got into the why, never got into the how. She just accepted that she was cursed.
It was her fate.
Right.
But you know what? I don't know how much of it was true or how much of it was life circumstances.
Yeah.
Life circumstances that made her feel as if that's what it has to be.
Right.
Because you and I talked about the fact that I know 3 people that every major love in their life, they weren't my age, they were older than I, that they all died tragically. And I don't know where you go with that.
Yeah.
How you can have 3 loves of your life. You can honestly say that you were lucky thrice. And it ended the way that it did.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
And we sitting around here pining behind these fools are still walking around. You still see them at the Walmart. Can still see them at the ball game. Can still see them at the neighborhood reunion. You still see them on a book of faces in the instant Snapchats. We can still see them.
But not
You still hurt and broke down. These fools is yet still here. Still in your inbox. Still in your text messaging. Still knocking on your door and ringing your bell.
Oh,
but you hurt and broke down. And this chick done put 3 in the ground. No, I don't. And it's like, when you look at stuff like that, you're like, what, my life ain't that bad.
Look, she is a Shakespearean tragedy.
She
Okay.
is. She is. And
See,
when I say she has some lovers, ma'am.
okay.
Yes.
She was running around with one, said that he took her breath away, had her sweating. And then when she realized that, wait a minute, the one I'm with is the one I'm love, the one that had her sweating, shot him. I
Child.
know I'm giving away spoilers for those of y'all who haven't seen it, but you got to let her tell the story. Watch the movie and let her tell it. And can we just talk about this? The use of mirrors.
Girl. But you know what? You know why that's powerful? Because if you know anything about the spirit world, I'm about to probably upset some people that, I am a
Make
Christian.
a
I
mess.
do believe in Jesus. But the thing is that
Make
I
a mess.
grew up
Just say
differently. I grew up, you'd be surprised at some of the stuff that I was exposed to.
it.
But
Go ahead and
yeah.
explain. Go ahead and explain.
Okay. The fact that mirrors are supposed to not just reflect, but they hold spirits. So that's why, when people say, you break a mirror, 7 years bad luck, and you have to bear it a certain way, treat it a certain way, is because of that.
Mhm.
And when people die, or if you're in a home, this is what you're supposed to do, girl. Those are cover them, because they can capture that essence. It may not capture that whole person, but their essence is held in that mirror. So that's why when people say they can look in the mirror and and see an image or see a person, there's it's a level of truth in that. And they also say that you should never purchase mirrors from secondhand places for that exact same reason.
Never knew that.
Um,
Good to know.
yeah, that's another reason why you should do it, because you don't know. So depending on your level of understanding or acceptance or belief structure, that's how that goes. I have my great great grandmother's mirror
Mhm.
here that was in her living room. I've never had any crazy experiences with it. It's an antique, but
Mhm.
yeah,
But
but
those
all the
those
other
would
mirrors.
be spirits that you know and you're comfortable with also. So
Yeah, I would hope. Except she went through three husbands too, but that's a whole nother story. That's the third person that came. That's the third person. Because remember, I kept telling you it's three people I knew. That's the third person. Oh my God.
okay.
And it made charity went through three of them. We sitting
Oh,
around here. We sitting around here pining behind these fools. They put three in the ground. Three. My grandma put two.
oh
She
my
sure
God.
did. So it's
Oh,
just like, hey, what are we doing wrong? We can't even get the one right.
listen.
I don't know if I want to bury nobody. I definitely don't want to bury two and three, because after a while you're like,
No,
hey, I'm just tired of wearing black.
no.
I'm
I
tired of eating this chicken. I'm tired of drinking these off-brand sodas.
listen. After burying the second one, it'd be like, look, I'd be feeling cursed too.
Hmm.
I'd be
Shoot.
feeling a lot like Moselle.
Hmm. One. My great grandma said, one monkey, two monkeys, three monkeys don't stop no show. Shoot, Ringling Brothers kept it
Well,
going. You
look,
hear me?
by the end of the movie, Moselle was like, "Hey, what's one more?"
What's one more?
But 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 at that point, she wasn't worried about him, and he had some spiritual gifts of his own at that point. He was like,
Yeah.
"Oh," he was like, "Oh wait, she off with somebody else? Well, babe, what you doing? You free?" And she was like, "Listen, I'm sorry, cat down here having an attitude." Um, she was like, "Well, you know what? As a matter of fact, I am. Um, I don't know if I should disclose this or not." And he's like, "Babe, it's all good." And I'm paraphrasing because I don't want to give away too much. She said, "Well, my brother's gone. I had a dream about him, and I was floating." So she saw her end. She saw her end, and she was fine. She was like, you know what? I'm going to live. So it seems whatever curse she thought was on her, she felt was broken. And it was okay for her to move forward.
Yeah, because I think what happened with her is that she carried the love of each one of them. And she carried the weight of each one of them, especially the way her husband went out. Because that's who she was married when you know, and that's probably where the curse part came from too, is the fact that she was married and how her husband's life was ended.
Yeah.
And but I think she had it gets to a part where you have to forgive yourself. You can't you can't undo it. You know, all you can do is move on past it. But for somebody else to see her and to see all of that, because without her saying it, that guy saw all of that. But he saw past it and was like, hey, it is what it is. I mean, it's just, you know, let's do this in spite of all that. And that's that's kind of relationship you kind of want to have. I mean, you know, to find somebody that says, I'm willing to love you in spite of everything that's happened, because we all have a past. And the longer you live, the more past you have.
Right.
So
now, here's something interesting. When just before you came on, I was looking at the IMDb site, and they have trivia listed. And now it won't let me go back to it. The writer and director Cassie Lemons said that there was an entire character that was removed from her cut of the film. So the director's cut looks very different than what we see. I would love for them to put this back out with her cut, because I want to see this missing character. I'm wondering if Vondie Curtis Hall is the full character that was cut. Because what I noticed was how he kind of came in. He didn't have a whole lot in the way of speaking roles. You know, he was kind of a presence. You know, when Cecily was sick, he came in and he scooped her up and carried her to the bedroom. You know, he was just kind of there and tending to the family in the father's absence. He was there in the background. All of
I wonder if they did develop him more, but they were able to.
That's what I'm wondering. Because it's like he was there, but he was kind of like they treated him like he kind of became somewhat of a trope. He was the Black Indian in the film. He showed up out of nowhere and was like, how? You know, here I am. I'm mystical, dark, and I'm here to fix everything. But I have answers to a question, and then I may just drift off into the dark, you know, or I might stay. And I'm deciding to stay, kind of thing. And, you know, he had about 7 lines in the whole film, and then, you know, he married Moselle, and that was it. It was said he wanted to marry her, and then the end. So I'm wondering if that's the character that was to have more. This whole thing felt like a book to me.
Yeah, it did.
I'm like, there has to be a book. I want to read the book, and I want to find out the rest.
That'd be great if it were. So is there anything else that we want to unpack before we end, or anything we want to add?
I don't think so. I think As far as a coming of age story, I think, yeah, saw the growth in the characters. I saw the change. Um, on a scale of 1 to 5, where do you put the movie?
7. I love this movie. I just I loved it. I love the fact that it's a period piece.
Mm-hmm.
Because my mom would tell you I've been here before because I would don a hat and gloves for something, and I just love that whole I love that whole era minus the segregation and the brutality
Mm-hmm.
and that part.
Look,
The style
what
and the class
we
of
got
that
to see
era.
you dressed up during peak Preakness. You got to come on in Preakness gear
Oh
one.
yeah, I gotta do that. Yes. I have to don everything. But yeah, I just love the era of just being classy. You
Uh-huh.
know, where women dressed a certain way, men dressed a certain way. And I just love that. And just the decorum and the level of style when it came to everything. When you entertain guests in your home,
Yeah.
the type of things that you put out. And my godmother, I grew up being around stuff like that, and my godmother keeps me abreast of certain things. So for every Christmas I get something that's fancy like that. So if I
Mhm.
have people in my home, this is what you do have. I just love it. So that part of it does it for me. The other part of it that I love is just how well put together everything flowed and the
Mhm.
cinematography behind it, because the mirror aspect, all the scenes with Moselle were powerful because of her being spiritual of nature, and it wasn't that spooky woo type of thing.
Right.
It's like when I was watching it, I felt like I was in the room. Did you
Right.
did you feel like you got sucked into those scenes? Like
Yeah.
you're literally sitting in the chair in the background, like, don't do that. Stop. I mean, however they did it, they sucked you right into your television or sucked you right into the screen. So I just
Mhm.
loved all of that. And of course, we've done quite a few movies with Samuel Jackson and Honey. Anything with him in it,
You
and
can't go wrong with Sam Jackson.
you
You
can't.
cannot.
And his wife, even though she played clueless and that type of thing, I loved everything. That's why they cast her in these types of roles,
Yeah.
because she puts it all the way on. And even though she plays similar characters and a lot of what she does, they're all different. She knows how to
Mhm.
tweak it just enough
The
where you don't
nuance.
say, "Oh, she's like that. She was like that in Tyler Perry, or she was like that in this movie." She tweaks it just
Enough.
enough.
Just enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a
Well,
7, and I love the South. Because I'm from the South.
so you mentioned the setting. Did you know that the set was also used in Deborah Cox's video "Nobody's Supposed to Be Here"?
No, and I hate that song. God forgive me, so sorry. I shouldn't say hate. It's
You
something
greatly
about it. I
described
just,
it.
I just, I don't. Deborah, I love you, but it's just something about that song. I just, how'd you get here? Nobody's supposed to be here. I just could never.
She
I
needed
don't
some
know.
alone time.
Huh?
She needed some alone time. You like, get out, get out. I need my alone time. Leave me alone.
Yeah. I don't know whether it's the English minor in me when it came to how it's written. It's another song like that too. God, I'm getting off topic. Okay, the song is by Jennifer Hudson, and it's Where You At. It's a song called Where You At, Where You At, Where You. The whole song, she's doing it, and it grits on, and then she's singing it so powerfully because she really wants to really put out there that she wants to know where this person is.
Yeah.
Well, where you? And I'm like,
Where you be
and
at?
I can't
Fingernails
because
across the chalkboard.
because of English minor. I mean, because I let some stuff slide and dip because
Um,
colloquialisms. I let it slip. But what we're not going to do
is
is
put that
we're not going to
across
cut
the
a
river.
whole album, a whole LP A whole 45, 33. We're not going to CD, A-track, and put it out here.
You didn't say 8-track. Oh my God.
We're not. And that is the hook of it's the whole chorus of the song. I cannot do it. So yeah, it's just there's certain songs that yeah, I'm off topic. But yeah, I just cannot. But for you, thank you for that piece of trivia. Deborah, I love you. I have nothing against you. Same thing with you, Jennifer Hudson. If I ever get a chance to meet you all, what I just said up here, I say to your face because I'm real with mine. Love everything about you, but can't love everything people do. Just like everybody doesn't love everything Nicole Candace does. Yes, there's some things I probably do agree on them, but yes, ma'am.
And I'm getting this off of IMDb's site. Just one other little juicy tidbit, and then I'll tell you my 5 and why it's a 5. So Debbi Morgan's character Moselle had 3 husbands, and she was going for 4. Mm-hmm. According to IMDb, Debbi Morgan also had 4 husbands.
That baby face lady. Well, she's a whole doll baby. Vampire-ish. Huh?
Isn't she gorgeous?
She is beautiful and always has been. It's like the rest of us are aging and she's just timeless. I don't know what type of water she drinks, what type of fruit she eats, juice and berries. I don't know what she's made out of.
I don't know what she does.
But I don't know what she does. But I tell you, she always had that cutesy face. She's just beautiful. When she was on a soap opera, she was the same way.
You know what? Someone told me a long time ago, and I kind of looked at them like, "How could you say that?" They were like, "You remind me of her," and I was like, "We don't all look alike." And I definitely don't look like her. I was like,
yeah, because her dimples are deep. I mean, she has whales.
I'm like,
she's a whole Cupid doll. She is just
like, no. You got the wrong. You compare me to the wrong Black person because no.
4 husbands, but I mean, hey, I tell you, that must be her fountain of youth because, ma'am. And I want to see how they're faring. She walking around here looking like she did 35 years ago, and
she must be getting young, man. Anyway, I rate this movie a 5 because I like the whole spiritual aspect of it. And as I was watching it, I had to stop myself just so I could pay attention because like movies like this. And like Get Out, and what's the other one that's tied into that? Get Out and
oh God, I can't think of the name of it.
The other one that he did. I was sitting there with a pen and paper, like, oh my gosh, the symbolism. This is deep. I'm loving it. I'm that person. I will sit there with a pen and paper and nerd out and take notes. But this, like you said, Nicole, drawn in. Edge of the seat, just sitting there like this because I'm watching it and it's like this has to be a book. Why isn't there a book? I need a book. I need a book. That's really what was going through my mind as I was watching this. Like, why isn't it a book? It should be a book.
And folks, what was supposed to be a 30-minute conversation turned to an hour and plus conversation.
And we still ain't done because we got to wrap stuff up. Like really put them on.
Do. I should have been mentioning sponsors beforehand. I'm gonna start saying that in the beginning and at the end because Lord knows they deserve to get their credit. So like versus waiting to the very very end to kind of know who is behind us. And we're not just up here jabbering. We actually have some folks up behind what we do.
Let's start with by follow your mods. Follow us on the
Please do. Appreciate it.
Whoops. Dropping my mic. Nicole Candace. That's where you'll find her.
That's me.
If you Google Nicole Candace, all Nicole Candace things will come up. Just make sure you spell her name right.
Yep. There's only one. For real, there's only one.
And there is only one Don Mescal. He couldn't be
Thank
with you.
God. We can't have two.
We can't handle that much. No.
We
No, two
can't.
Dons in oh no. That's not a Don. So follow Don Mescal, Miskel. Get that part right. DonMescal.com. And little old me, Nikkei writes, Nike. It's Nikkei. Don't play me. It's not that other thing. Nikkei writes.wordpress.com. That's my name. And at the beginning of the broadcast, you heard music from Robert Rice, just a snippet of his song. Robert Rice Jr., follow him on smoothology.net. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our pages on Facebook and YouTube. We are Movies That Move We. Make sure you like. That helps us move up. Move up. We want to move up. And tell them how to follow us on Facebook, Nicole.
Okay, Movies That Move We has its own page. It's private. Requires questions. Not that many, not that complicated. You don't have to give your grandmother's maiden name, your social security. You don't have to give the name of your 5th grade teacher, none of that. But it's 3 basic questions just to make sure that we're not getting bots and trolls in there to tear up our page. So please, by all means, answer questions and we will allow you into our space. But if you don't, you'll be denied because people get denied every day. So we do welcome you, and it's a very free and chill space where we share information about movies that are impacted by Black cinema, of course the soundtracks, and we even get into some shows on television that are inspired by African American actors and storylines and other like in the scripts. So please join us.
Yep. And our sponsors, official and unofficial today.
Yes, we do. We have some.
Irby
These are the Irby Entertainment, which is an international DJing company and apparel company. And I am a co-owner of it. And Raymond Bailey is the CEO and he sponsors. So we have to give a shout out to Irby Entertainment. And Sheer Dazzle Salon. But Kiki is my stylist, but she has other stylists there. So if you are in the Hampton Roads area, please shout her. This she took out my big hair and this is my real hair. It's a little frizzy today, but because the humidity won't let me be great, but Sheer Dazzle Salon in Chesapeake. And Color You Cosmetics. So if you like my natural beat, I kept it real basic today. Eyebrows, a little lip color. It's number 5. Yep, this is a lipstick. Definitely, check out Color You Cosmetics, and they're on all your different social media, and you can be able to purchase it online. And just if you want any more information about Color You Cosmetics, contact me. Karen Stallings is the CEO and owner of the company. Black owned. All the companies that we named here are Black owned. Look at there. I just realized that. Except for our other sponsors. That's great because I just realized that.
Yeah.
Two of them are Black owned and Black female owned, says double minority. And of course, Irby Entertainment. Well, shucks, I'm a co-owner, so yeah. Woo, forgot.
All right. Hello.
All right, hello.
Bye, Black.
Hello. And I own Dakota Candace. Wait a minute.
Come on, sis. Come on. All right. And on our unofficial sponsor list, as in they don't know.
They don't know.
We shout them out because
we
really were sitting here grubbing as we were talking to you because you can't do movies and not have snacks.
Snacks.
So Aldi's, we're shouting you out today because you brought the snackage.
Snackage.
Aldi's popcorn, the organic popcorn, Simply Nature. Yes. And I was over here munching on the dried cranberries.
Yes. And it's interesting because great minds think not alike. I purchased this last night for today because I knew I was going to have popcorn. I am a popcorn connoisseur. I'm a popcorn snob, so I don't eat everyone's popcorn. I'm funny about that. And I purchased this.
Yeah, go ahead.
And the kid was eating on cranberries. I said, we have to shout the company. She's like, girl, it's Aldi's. So Aldi's, you did your thing today. We weren't even trying to coordinate the snacks. But
we didn't plan this at all. I was munching.
And as a plug, if you have a snack that you want us to try and mention on this broadcast on this platform and in our page, because we do have followers, let us know, inbox us, and you can get those snacks to us and we'll eat them right on our show, and we will give you a shout out, and we will let folks know that these are premier awesome snacks to eat when you're watching movies, television, or just going up and down the road. We would do it. So inbox us so we can feature your snack on the show, and we'll do a better job of kind of like talking about it along the way, so people not hearing about it. We'll do a better job on it.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
We're working on it.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.